I'm like frantically looking through for some good like puns, and I'm like, nah. Okay, I'll do one just for the recording. Yeah. What did one ocean say to the other ocean? Nothing. They just waved. Great timing. Welcome everybody to the Microsoft 365 Power Platform community call. This is a community takeover. So on this call we typically host the Microsoft folks, and today we've also got Microsoft and community speakers mixed in together over this wonderful period. A quick apology to everybody: our chat isn't working, so you'll have to reaction all your best jokes or puns and so forth. So sorry about that. We'll get that fixed for the next call. We've got a lot on the agenda today, so we go through all the latest updates, blog posts and so forth, and we've got 3 awesome demos, one from Paolo Pialorsi using TypeSpec to create declarative agents for Microsoft 365 Copilot, Julie Koesmarno from Microsoft to introduce you to Dataverse MCP, and Nicki Usiondek, who is a hackathon winner for DexSolving homepage. So looking forward to all of those great demos later on in the call. Just a reminder, we're part of a wide community. We've been around for quite some time. So as a result, we have built up a massive pool of cool resources for you. So if you're starting a new project or you want to learn, you've come into this space brand new and you want to figure out how things work, well, we've got an absolute ton of material for you. We've got YouTube videos, loads and loads and loads of presentation, previous community calls, demos, all sorts you can sink your teeth into. And we've got a community spaces on a few platforms like LinkedIn. We've got Discord as well. We're also present on Twitter and X, should I say? I should really get used to that. It's only changed like a couple of years ago now. And Blue Sky. So we've got presence there. So absolutely check us out. Network with us. We've also got open source repositories and sample galleries for you. We've got loads of samples for all sorts of different components in Microsoft 365. So if you're learning how to write certain things or do things in a certain way or learn a new pattern, by all means, they're the best way of learning new ways of doing things. But if this is all too much for you to remember, we've got one single link on our main page, so aka.ms/community/homecommunity.ms, just to help you out and get you signposted there. This isn't the only community call we're hosting. So this is a part of a weekly call that we have on Tuesdays, but as part of the community takeover. But we also have a Power Platform call that runs monthly. We also have Office add-ins call that runs monthly, and we have a Thursday Microsoft Power Platform community call, and then Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework call rotating bi-weekly on Thursdays. So again, there's a lot of resources, a lot of links. So check out our link there. aka.ms/community/calls, so you can get all that information and more in that space as well. We've got 3 cool demos. We host demos on Thursdays. Now, if you've got a technical pattern or something you want to show off, you built something cool, you want to show it off, you want to build up your public profile, by all means, we absolutely encourage you to submit a request to present so that you can show off to everybody what you've built, and everyone gets to learn from that as well. And they also get to know you, which is also really, really cool. So again, there's another AKMS link. So community/request/demo. Fill out that form and we'll get you booked in. Now, we do support new speakers as well. So if you do have, if you are feeling a bit nervous, let us know. We'll buddy you up with someone just to help you out and guide you through that process. David's super supportive throughout the build up to it as well. He does a really great job on making that a really smooth journey. And we also have some great assets for the cloud as well. So if you're learning, coming from the start, we've got a massive material of Microsoft content on M365/dev/learn. So all these modules, if you want to know about the graph and SharePoint framework, you name it, there's thousands of modules there to learn and build up that XP and get your certifications and so forth there as well. And also there's the Power Platform learning modules too. which is a /Power Platform /Learn. It's got hundreds of modules there too as well. So check that out if you want to build up your knowledge or continuously build your knowledge. It's a great resource. Absolutely check it out. And we have a samples gallery as well, with over 2,400 plus samples, which is amazing. And that's not just like, like 3 people beaving away, bashing away and writing out samples. These are from the community. These are some of your samples, some of samples from different calls and so forth, all in one place. So you can navigate this, you can search for what you want, get examples, and take you to the location to that on a nice call explorer. So check out those samples. Great place to learn, again, with new patterns or new ways of doing things, especially with the world of AI and lots of cool things coming out. So absolutely check that out. AKMS/community/samples. And over to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. Yes, friends. So we'll have those new dates coming out soon for Sharing is Caring. And if you're saying, well, I don't know what Sharing is Caring is, it is live. It is hands-on. It is your gateway to contributions in the community. We have a live Teams call where we join together. We go through the process of actually submitting a pull request, which is how you contribute new contributions to the community through GitHub. And we know it can be confusing with terms like blame and fork and raw and all these weird things like pull request, in fact. But we'll demystify it. You'll work through it together. And it's a great way to collaborate with other members of the community, and it's a safe space, which means that we don't record it, so you can ask any and all questions that you would like. So keep an eye out. We'll let everybody know when it gets scheduled out. Just a lot of vacations right now. We're trying to juggle around to make sure everybody can be part of that. Keep an eye at aka.ms/sharing is caring. And then once you do contribute, we want to recognize you, and that is where our Credly recognition program comes in. So we've got the Porcupine Rises. The animation went very fast there. It is our new superhero season. Star Wars is behind us. We'll see it coming back next year. Congratulations to all those who earned. We have 5 new badges for you to earn in the next 4 months, and this is one of those bonus badges. It is absolutely free. You can opt in at aka.ms/recognition/community/recognition, but we do need you to do that. We only need you to do it once, and you can earn these really cool badges. And again, we like to have fun with them. There are real accreditation behind them, so take them very seriously in terms of being proud of them. They show that you are making a difference above and beyond maybe your coworker or your competitor. So show your clients and show your managers, let them know that you are making a difference in the community, and we really do appreciate it. So aka.ms/community/recognition. Paul, back to you.
Thank you, David, and super cool badges. I've got loads myself, so absolutely make sure you sign up and register for that, and you can start collecting them today. So just a reminder, there are some conferences going on. We've just had Seattle TechCon 365. So next one's up is Atlanta over the August period. So don't want to sacrifice your summer holidays and go to a conference and meet your mates and in the community and have a giant hackathon. Absolutely check those out. And then you've got Dallas in November the 3rd as well for that conference later on as well. We've also got the Power Platform Community Conference. It's one of the biggest conferences there is, around October the 28th to 30th in Las Vegas. So make sure you register for that and check those dates out as well. And then we've also got Ignite, obviously one of the biggest conferences of the year for Microsoft. So check out Ignite at Microsoft.com and then get yourself registered. And then if you want to go visit San Francisco, that would be absolutely cool and be part of the fun. And then we've got ESPC in Dublin. So this is the 1st to 4th of December. So there's another quite large European conference as well. So I've been to a few of these myself. They're absolutely awesome. Dublin's a brilliant place to go. So absolutely check that out and network with all those speakers and all your community friends that perhaps you visit on this call. Tend to have a large presence in that conference as well. So absolutely check that out. And then we've got ECS next year, 2026, in Cologne in Germany. So again, a massive conference for all of the community. It's absolutely one of the biggest ones in Europe now. It's grown quite a bit, so absolutely check that out next year. Other community events that are coming up along the thing so check out communitydays.org. So this is a website where it lists all of these events that are coming up. So if you don't see a link on there, check that out and book that ahead of time. So you've got events going from July to September on this. So it's like TechCon, for example, North American Cloud and Collaboration Summit, Collab Days, and so forth. So absolutely go check that link out, and then you can then book yourself into a conference and learn some cool stuff. Just a reminder, we've got a Copilot prompt library. So if you've been working with AI for a bit, you've working with Microsoft 365 Copilot or ChatGPT, absolutely share your prompts with the community at aka.ms/pmp-prompt-library, and then we do for the coolest prompts, we do then show up a prompt of the week. So over to picture time. So absolutely, get your cameras on, polish your faces, get yourself showing off there. And David, I think I hand over to you for this bit, and then grab a screenshot of everybody.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. Thank you, Paul. So get those cameras turned on for the fantastic faces, everybody. Great to see the smiling faces. All right, I get to sit next to Paolo today. Excellent. All right, yeah, we could try and like high five. Okay, we got a couple more slides. We are doing good on time. Oh, I almost slapped him in the face. Didn't mean to do that, Paolo. We are doing good on time. So we have a second or two. I know sometimes it could be a little latent. And again, for those that are just joining in, if you're seeing that real-time text on the bottom, you can pop that out in a new window. Kind of weird. Something's going on with Teams. We'll get the chat fixed for next week. But love to see all the smiling faces. Thank you all for your patience. All right, we got a couple more seconds. We're doing okay on time. Anybody else want to get that camera turned on? There is still a moment or two, and we will capture all those wonderful smiles in live living color. All right, see another one showed up. Excellent. Okay, well, let's give it a countdown. Let's do 3, 2, 1. Woo! Great to see everybody. Excellent. Love it. Love it. Love it. See Ian doing the dance. Looks great. Wonderful. Thank you all for being the passionate contributors that you are. It is awesome. We would not have these opportunities without you. So excellent. All right, Paul, if you'd like to take on back over, we can get back to our regularly scheduled program.
Build it. Righty. And now we've got our cool demo. So over to Paolo for the first one of the day.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Let me start sharing my screen, and please let me know when you see my screen.
Yeah, that's all good.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you again, Paul. And today we're going to talk about using TypeSpec to create declarative agents for Microsoft 365 Copilot. This is a demo which is part of the Copilot Developer Camp Labs and Demos. The Copilot Developer Camp is a set of videos and hands-on labs that you can use to learn how to extend Microsoft 365 Copilot. And you can do that as a maker or as a professional developer, depending on what your profile is. There are multiple pathways. You can find it at akms/copilot.camp. And just to give you an idea, if you are a maker, you can go through multiple pathways to build agents with Agent Builder, with Copilot Studio, or with SharePoint agents. Or if you are a coder, like we are going to be today in this demo, you can create declarative agents if you want to rely on the out-of-the-box foundational model and orchestrator of Microsoft 365 Copilot, or you can create custom engine agents and agents for teams if you want to use your own foundational model and orchestrator. And this is what you can learn going through all of the pathways available in Copilot.camp. Today, we want to focus on the declarative agents. So we want to rely on TypeSpec, and we want to learn what TypeSpec is and how we can use it to create a declarative agent. And first of all, let me clarify what a declarative agent is. As I said before, when you create an agent to extend Microsoft 365 Copilot and you rely on the foundational model and the orchestrator provided out of the box by Microsoft 365 Copilot, you create what is called a declarative agent, which can have a custom set of knowledge bases and a custom set of skills like actions, triggers, or other custom stuff that you can trigger inside your agent. And the user experience of those declarative agents will be the user experience, the out-of-the-box user experience of Microsoft 365 Copilot chat. They are defined as declarative agents because when you create them, when you define them, you basically declare the functionalities and the capabilities that you want to have in those agents, and you don't necessarily write actual code. Or actually, it depends. Let me explain you why. Because Microsoft introduced recently the TypeSpec language, which is a language designed for designing and defining APIs in a lightweight manner. And it has been inspired by TypeScript. So you will see in the upcoming demos that the syntax looks almost like the syntax of TypeScript. It is a structured language and a type-safe language. So you can use this language in Visual Studio Code or in Visual Studio, and you can use it to generate, starting from the TypeScript syntax, the TypeSpec syntax, sorry, you can easily generate OpenAPI specifications, JSON schemas, and generally speaking, definitions for your own APIs. Now, from the declarative agents point of view, we can use TypeSpec to easily define agents, declarative agents, which can also consume external API plugins. And you can have an abstraction from the JSON file that we used to create declarative agents in the past. And you can simply write code, which can even be checked from a syntax point of view to avoid any error or any issue. You can validate the definition of your API when you define them with TypeSpec, and you can have IntelliSense in Visual Studio Code, for example, when you write those definitions of agents. Last but not least, when you use TypeSpec, you can also rely on the dev proxy project, and you can generate the TypeSpec specification files on the fly based on the HTTP network traffic that you make go through the dev proxy tool. So let me switch to the actual demo environment, and let me show you how a TypeSpec declarative agent is defined. So first of all, I will go to my Visual Studio Code. So let me open it and share it with you on my screen. And here we are. And in Visual Studio Code, whenever you want to create a new declarative agent, you can rely on the Microsoft 365 Agents Toolkit, which is available under this icon and that you can find under the extensions for Visual Studio Code, for example. If you select the M365 Agents Toolkit, you can then select to create a new agent or application. And by doing that, you can choose to create a declarative agent, which is the focus of today's demo. When you select to create a declarative agent, you have multiple options. The one I'm interested in right now is the one to start with a TypeSpec for Microsoft 365 Copilot. If you will select this option, you will need then to provide a folder where you want to store your your scaffolded declarative agent solution. Let's use the default one. And you will need to provide a name. Now, what I'm going to show you is a demo that you will find also available, as I said, in one of the labs of the Copilot Dev Camp, and which is called the Repair Service Agent. Right now, I'm just going to create a random declarative agent for the sake of showing you what happens when you use the toolkit. And then we will switch to the actual demo that you can implement by yourself following the instructions, step-by-step instructions of the lab. So, for example, I can define a community declarative agent solution just for the sake of it. This will be the name of the solution that will be scaffolded by the toolkit. And as you can see here, let me maximize the screen. You get back a bunch of information about the generated project with instruction about what you should do to rely on this project. But what I'm interested in, and let me zoom in a little bit more, is that you will get a couple of .tsp files, which are files based on TypeSpec syntax. And as you can see in these files, we have syntax that looks almost like the TypeScript syntax. As you can see, we have the import of modules, we have the using of namespaces, we have some decorators to define some specific attributes for my agent. And here you can see that we can define the title and the description of the agent that we want to define. We can specify a set of instructions, which will be what we usually call the system prompt of the agent you are going to create. You can uncomment and define conversation starters for your agent, which will look like the boxes with suggestions for the user in the native experience of Microsoft 365 Copilot. And then you can define all of the capabilities that you want to make available in the agent, like, for example, the capability to use specific REST APIs, plugins. And that's why we also have an actions.tsp file, which can be used to define those API plugins. And in the actions.tsp file, you can again rely on the syntax of TypeSpec to define, for example, that we have a specific namespace where we want to have some metadata for the API we are going to connect to plug into the declarative agent with a specific URL that will be the URL of the API that we want to consume, as well as the definition of all of the operations that we want to consume in that target API. As you can see right now in the scaffolded solution that you get when you select in the toolkit to create a fresh new declarative agent, you find a sample that simply relies on the APIs, REST APIs of GitHub to search for issues in a specific GitHub repository. Now, let's switch to the actual lab that you can build with the Copilot Dev Camp. And in order to do that, let me switch to another Visual Studio Code instance that I have right here. And so this is my service, my declarative agent, the repair service agent. In this one, we want to have an hypothetical repair service where we can work with items like replacement parts and workers in the repair service, and we can create new requests to repair stuff and to assign those repair requests to specific users. Just to give you an idea, let me actually run the agent first, and then let me show you how it is implemented. So here I am in the Copilot chat, Microsoft 365 Copilot chat, and this is my repair service agent. And I can do stuff like, for example, listing all of the repairs that I'm running right now with my repair service. By doing that, I will be able to invoke, for example, an external API, which will give me back information about all of the repairs that I have listed in my system. So I can allow Copilot and the agent to consume the external API. And as you will see near the end of this demo, under the cover of this request, there will be a REST request to an external API, which will retrieve a list of repairs with detailed information, pictures of the repairs, and stuff like that. Takes a little while because it is actually consuming a real API, which is running on Azure right now. But soon you will be able to see the output. We should be almost there. And we should be able to see the list of our repairs, hopefully soon. Let's see. Okay, here we are. So we have an oil change, a brake repairs, and stuff like that. And also soon we will see the pictures of all of these repairs so that we can have additional information and graphical information about all of the repairs that we have in the list. So this is the idea of this sample explanatory agent. And you can find it if you go to akms/Copilot DevCamp under the extend pathway, and you will find it here in the lab E1, which is the build a detailed declarative agent using TypeSpec. And here you can find step-by-step the instruction created by my colleague Rabia that you can use to build exactly the same agent. Now, let's dig into the actual agent in Visual Studio Code. So as before, we have a main.tsp file. In this one, we have the title and the description. We have the instructions, and here you can see this is a much more detailed set of instructions, which will tell the agent how it should behave when interacting with the user. So you will assist the user in finding car repair records and so on and so forth. We provide the guidelines, and we give all of the instructions, the system instructions, to the agent itself. We have a couple of conversation starters, which are those that you were able to see in the UI of the declarative agent when you start a new conversation, these two items. Then we have the definition of the repair service agent. And in there, we have the reference to a capability available in the Declarative agents, which allows us to work with the code interpreter, which is a capability that allows you to generate charts and diagrams and to get the source code in Python to generate those charts and diagrams based on the data that you have available as the knowledge base for your agent. Plus, we have a set of APIs to list, create, update, or delete specific repair records. So in the action.tsp file, we have the definition of those actions. And again, we have a namespace, which has been enriched with a set of decorators to specify that we are defining a service with a specific server URL and with a specific set of metadata for the action, which is actually defined right here. Then we have, and this is the URL of the service, which is, as you can see, running on Azure. And then we define every single operation. Like, for example, if we want to get the list of repairs, we can just use the TypeSpec syntax to declare that we have an operation with name list repairs, which will get in the query string eventually, which with an optional input argument, the assignee of those repairs. And then we can see that we have a post request operation to create a new repair. And in the body, we will get a repair object, which means that we have a definition of the model for the repair object. So we have actually the model that defines how a repair looks like with all of the required or optional fields that make up the actual content of a repair. A repair that can also be updated with a patch HTTP request to the REST API, or can be deleted with a delete HTTP method, again, providing the body of the repair that we want to delete or to update or to create. So that, for example, when, again, we use the agent, we can say create a new repair to replace with the actual content of the car repair. So it could be, for example, the rear camera, and assign it to me. And by assigning this item to myself, I will then be able to say, list all of my repairs and get it back. Now, since I'm posting some data over the HTTP channel to the target REST API, I need to confirm as an end user that I want to do that for security reasons. And by doing that, I will be able to create a new item in the repair service and to target myself as the assigned person to repair this item. And then I can say, for example, list all my repairs, and I will be able to see that the item, the record that I just created has been assigned to myself. And again, I need to consent to allow the consumption of the external API to get back the information I'm looking for. And as you can see, I can get the item that I just created, including an hypothetical picture that I can use to show additional information about the repair. Okay, so this is really cool because we can simply work with a code-based interface. We can write our code in TypeSpec using IntelliSense, and we can define a declarative agent and all of the APIs plugin connected to the declarative agent simply using a code-based model. Just to give an idea of what's happening under the cover, let me enable the developer mode in Copilot. And by doing that, let me list again all of my repairs, for example, list all my repairs. By doing that, now that the developer mode has been enabled, I will be able to show you, once I will allow this request to go through the wire, that we have got behind the scenes the orchestrator of Copilot choosing what is the right flow to use to give me the answer. Actually, let me refresh the request and let me go through one more time because I don't see the actual debug information. So let me try again. Sorry about that. Hopefully it will show up. And when we list all of the repairs, for example, you should be able to get the debug information. And if not, you will need to trust me because you can always trust Paolo. And let's see if it will work. And I will be able to show you the debug information at the end of the request. And unfortunately, today, the debug information are not willing to work. And so I'm sorry about that, but I was not able to show you that actually when the debug information are enabled and visible, you can get the reasoning model behind the scene. You can see what are the actual operations available, and what are the operation? What is the operation that the agent selected to run through the orchestrator of Copilot? And then you can also dig into the request and response at the wire level, so you can see the request, HTTP request, and you can see the JSON response that you get as the output from the REST API to do better investigation of what's going on when you consume an external API. So if you want to go through the same flow, you can simply go, as I said, to the Copilot account, go to the extend pathway, and select the E1 lab, and step by step, you can create exactly the same declarative agent using TypeSpec and being able to debug in the Copilot interface the low-level conversation on the wire with the external REST API. That said, back to you, Paul, and thank you for watching this demo.
Oh, thanks, Paolo. That's absolutely cool stuff. Really, really interesting demo there. So thank you for presenting that. And now we step over to Julie. So for the introduction to Dataverse MCP.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So let me share my screen. All right. Thanks, everyone, for having me today. So I'm Julie. I'm the Group Product Manager for the Dataverse team. So when I first learned about Model Context Protocol, or MCP, I got super excited, mostly because I find it to be empowering. So for you as users, you can interact with your system in fluid, interactive, kind of dynamic way with your systems using natural language, for example, like questions and so on. Now, what I find really interesting about MCP as well is that in order for you to work with MCP, you essentially need two ingredients. Roughly speaking, something like this. Let me just go to the next one. The MCP clients as well as the source system needs to be MCP ready. So essentially, your application that you're going to interacting with from user perspective needs to be MCP ready, and your source system, like for example, Dataverse, needs to also be MCP ready, which means it needs to be exposed as an MCP server. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is let me just show you what it looks like in action. By the way, just before I go there, a quick reminder, there is actually a blog that I published yesterday. It has a ton of information on how it works and how to get started as well, especially towards the bottom. So if you, in case you miss a few things from today's session, you can always kind of refer to this blog post with a lot of useful resources. So going back to the Dataverse MCP server side of things, so Copilot Studio is actually MCP ready. So meaning that if you go to your agent, so I'm sure quite a lot of you are familiar with building an agent in Copilot Studio already. But if not, this is going to be a quick recap. So what I have here is I've created an agent, and I'm actually using Dataverse MCP server as a tool. For you to add Dataverse MCP server as a tool to your agent, it's super simple. So when you go to the add tool, simply filter on the model context protocol. Now you get to see all the different sources that are now MCP ready. So one of them is obviously Dataverse MCP server. And if this is the first time that you've built an agent inside Copilot Studio, you're probably going to see this screen with probably you need to create a new connection. But because I've already created one, it automatically defaults to this particular connection, and I can simply click Add to Agent, and where you go. So I'm going to cancel this out because I've already added it. So what's interesting about essentially, I guess, how the magic works is that inside an MCP server, you will see a set of tools, and this set of tools that this particular one, Dataverse MCP server, is essentially what the product group has shipped available for you, ready to use. And this set of tools essentially, allows the magic to happen. So in case you want to ask a set of questions, so let me just start with ask questions like this. Tell me more about Service Pro 9. So it will use a set of tools inside in MCP. Okay, I think I timed out, so I have to paste that again. Let me just refresh here. Let me send it again. Okay, there you go. So under the hood, when you ask questions like, tell me more about Service Pro 9, it actually calls a set of tools that it seems appropriate, that it thinks it's appropriate to retrieve this information. Now, when I connect to this Dataverse MCP server, it's essentially connecting to the environment that the agent lives in. I happen to have this called Contoso environment, so it only kind of uses that Dataverse environment. Okay, so it looks like it's getting back with some results. So it summarizes the Service Pro 9 details, category tablet, and so on. So all these details are actually stored in my Dataverse environment. So this is what it looks like. So I think the cost is $49.06 because I was applying some discount. Let me just refresh this. Okay, so all right, so it looks like the servicing cost, I have $44.50 and $49.06 there. Yeah, so this summarizes the pros and cons. Now, one thing that when you first get started, one thing that I want you to kind of take a look as you're using Copilot Studio here is you can also modify your instructions to be a bit more specific. And in my environment, I happen to have like a number of tables like products and review. So I use these instructions to kind of make it a little bit more specific in terms of like how I want the output to be formatted, how I want the MCP server to traverse the table details and so on. So it is still in preview. So sometimes you can see a bit of potentially some unexpected sort of answers. So if you see that, please let us know. We're more than happy to kind of get any feedback that you have. But yeah, so that's a quick overview of using an MCP inside Copilot Studio. One other thing that I want to show, which I thought was also super powerful, is using Claude as a cloud desktop here to connect to my Dataverse MCP server. So when you go to when you install Claude Desktop the first time, you're likely going to have to set up the connection to the Dataverse MCP server. If you want to know more on how to set this up, you can go to ak.ms Dataverse MCP doc. Let me just kind of copy and paste the useful links. Hopefully this comes out okay. So yeah, so k.ms Dataverse MCP doc, you get to see the instructions on how to set it up properly. Now, something to consider when you're using services like Claude as an example, whether paid or non-paid version, is like how much tokens, I suppose, that you've used. So I know that I was kind of like preparing this session quite a bit. So let's see. Hopefully, I haven't used up all the all the tokens, but we'll see. So this one happens to be connecting to a separate environment that I have that actually talks about conferences, conference sessions, and speaker names, and so on. So and I do have already the MCP server, Dataverse MCP server connected here. This is actually a private preview build that we've just recently put together. So if you've been following Dataverse MCP server, you're probably seeing like, hey, there are quite a couple more like tools made available. This is because it's a private preview build, but super excited to share it with you. So that's why I'm showing it here. So fingers crossed, hopefully it works. All right, so as you can see, again, kind of talking about the magic or the wow moment when I first used MCP is the fact that, you know, with simple questions like show me all conference sessions and so on, it actually the client, in this case it's Claude, actually tries to translate the question into the list of a list of tool calls. You probably saw that message earlier that says, hey, it looks like capacity constraint, you're not going to be able to use the Claude for a moment. That's okay, because I actually already have this saved. So here's one that I actually asked earlier. So let me just kind of scroll up. So this is asking, hey, summarize conference sessions, including the speaker name stored in Dataverse. It uses a bunch of tools, so from knowledge sources to retrieval, and then it provides the answer. So if some of you coming from like, I guess the world of Jupyter Notebook, I see this kind of like, wow, I can actually sort of like code, but not quite code, but using kind of like natural language and get the answers. And I can, essentially retrieve it back like this as an example, where I get the results stored, right? So, and then I can also ask it to show the conference schedule in tabular format. So it actually built this, and under the hood, it actually uses CodeGen. This is probably one of the reasons why I was running out of capacity. It's happily creating this dashboard for me, which is super nice. It's been a long time since I actually had to write code. So to be honest, like when I saw this, I'm like, wow, this is a game changer, because there's no way I could code this in like in minutes. I think it took probably about 5 or so minutes, maybe even less, to kind of build this kind of dashboard. And then I could also ask questions like, hey, apply these changes to Dataverse for agents, and speaker name should be this person and this person. So me and Sean on conference should be called this, and it actually happily update the records and so on. And interestingly, this tables that are actually supporting this conference sort of details, it's not a straightforward one. It's not a one-to-one sort of not just a one single table. In fact, there are actually multiple tables. So just to kind of let you know, this is essentially what the table looks like. And it was able to do so, like making all those changes and so on. So changes have been applied. In fact, I think as a kind of like a person who's kind of like designing tables and so on, I think this is probably where I use my last kind of capacity of asking questions. I asked, hey, what tables do I have that store conference detail in Dataverse? So it went away and kind of like asked a bunch of, run a bunch of tools to kind of understand a little bit more. And I asked it to draw an ER diagram. So this is an ER diagram. And it wasn't until like I drew this, I'm like, oh, I think I've got interesting like ER diagram here. I probably should fix this table and so on. So so I think just to kind of like summarize a little bit of the journey that I have here is just to show you that when you use Dataverse MCP, you can use it in an agent where you can ask it to kind of read and make updates as well, or do write operations. But as a person who's kind of like developing or building things, it's also a good sort of like side tools as well that you can use to understand your schema a little bit better, and also potentially kind of like understanding some kind of like I suppose potential kind of like analysis or and finding dirty data too. So this is an example one that I have for using VS Code with GitHub Copilot here. So let me see if okay. So in GitHub Copilot, it's a different way of kind of setting up or connecting to Dataverse MCP server. Again, if you go to ak.ms Dataverse MCP server, Dataverse MCP doc rather, you should be able to kind of follow the instructions. So I happen to have kind of set it up. So one for the, I think this one is the same environment as the ones that have the conference sort of details. And yeah, and I can also kind of disable a bunch of other sort of like tools that are available, servers that are available. That way just kind of uses the Dataverse one. So here I can ask, so because I couldn't ask those kind of questions in the Claude earlier live, so I thought I'll just show you what it looks like when you run it on VS Code GitHub Copilot instead. Please remember to change this to agent, and you can use any models that you want. So I happen to be using the GPT 4.1. And in case you're new to VS Code GitHub Copilot, if you have it installed, you can always, like if it disappears on you, find this little guy and then kind of click open chat and you get to see this. And you can also even kind of maximize it so that way you get more real estate here. Now you can ask questions, show me all conference sessions. So it will ask you, hey, do you want to use this tool? And I'll just click continue. You can choose the options to kind of like allow all and so on, but but for the purpose of this time, I'm showing you that it actually asks for your permission before it's connecting to those sort of tools or API. So let me just click on allowing this session just to make it a bit faster. And the other one that I wanted to show, let's see. So it's asking if I want to run a few other tools here just to kind of get more comprehensive answers. So this type of kind of experience is very similar to what you would see if you were using Claude as well, by the way. I think I'll just probably kind of stop here since it seems to be taking a little bit of time to kind of put together the details. But yeah, hopefully, there it is. So hopefully you get excited about using these different kind of MCP clients available out there and check it out. Hopefully we hear from you maybe on LinkedIn and so on how you use Dataverse MCP server. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, Julie. Brilliant. Absolutely cool stuff. Learning about MCP. MCP with Dataverse. Really, really good stuff. So next week, next Tuesday, we have Paolo and Akabas, who's presenting on Build Your Own Agent with M365 Agents, SDK, and Semantic Kernel. We got Gissus Monson with another SharePoint Hackathon winner there, and then Emily Shmanatsky with another hackathon output there. So lots of cool things to see. I've seen a few of the hackathons in the past. They are absolutely amazing examples of what you can build in SharePoint. So absolutely go check that out. I absolutely recommend it. We can keep the community going, so it's not just about attending these calls and when chat works, chatting on there. You can join us on Discord to keep it going, have a chat, share experiences with your community friends, and share with the community. So again, check that out on community /Discord to join that, or scan that QR code. And if you'd like feedback, absolutely post feedback. We welcome feedback, even if it's negative, even if it's because teams wouldn't respond properly today, or chat or anything like that. So absolutely, please feedback back. That's how we learn. That's how we improve. That's how we make it better for the next one as well. And then thank you. So this recording will be available in 24 hours on YouTube. Go check that out for other recordings. And we're also, like I said before, we're available on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and X on our handles there. And I look forward to seeing you on the next community takeover call on July the 15th. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, everybody.